Okay, so as always, we'll start with construction lines, and I'm just going to go right into the what I'm going to call the front view, and that would be looking at this thing from the left side. We are in standard inch drawing mode here. So this week should be back to normal here with a drawing being done in inches. So if we're going to offset going upward, the next offset would be the thickness of this base, which is 1/2 of an inch. So there we have a 0.5 offset. And that's pretty much it for offsets in the vertical direction. We could offset to the overall height of this thing if we knew what it was, but we are not given that. So that's going to be it for that. Now we'll go for our vertical lines. And we'll call that the left side, and we'll offset toward the right. First, we might want to do the overall distance, which is 4.5. So the whole object is 4.5 inches wide. Get in a little tighter on that. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay. And so again, starting from the left, the next offset we are given would be 1/2 of an inch in. And then 1 inch in, which would just be another 1/2 inch from there. Okay. All right, so that looks like we got the left side taken care of. Let's go to the other side. You can see that hole on the footing of that guy is a 1/2 inch radius, so we'll have to acknowledge that. The oh, sorry, diameter. Okay, so the hole is the 1/2 inch diameter, and the footing around it is a 1/2 inch radius. So this is going to be the same on this side. So we got a 1/2 inch in, and that will get us to the center, and then another 1/2 inch, which will get us to the outside edge. Okay. We could offset the width of this hole, which is 1/4 of an inch. Do that on each side. So this is the center line of the hole. I can change that now if you want. There you go. And this one is as well. Okay. All right, so in the side view here, we're looking pretty good. Let's take care of this base just to kind of simplify things. So there is the side view, and that's the edge of that footing in front. Over here we have a hidden line showing us the edge of the slot in the back. And then, of course, this is the hole going through the footing. These corners are all going to be rounded, and our fillets and rounds are 1/8 of an inch. So 0.125, yep. So we can knock all these out right now. Well, that's pretty substantial. Fillets and rounds are 1/8 of an inch, huh? Okay, that is definitely showing up. And then this one's gonna create that, we're gonna have to do a sacrificial guy on this one here. So we'll do that right now. Get my object line and make a couple sacrificial lines here. And then go back to fillet and fillet those guys together. All right, I'm gonna turn off the construction lines. And you can see that is basically our base so far. We have the footing up in front here, the hole going through it. That's a 1/2 inch hole. And in the back, there is a slot that allows for some adjustment. That's its back edge. Okay, so we've been saving the tricky part here for last, and that is creating the angled face. We are told that angled face is at a 45-degree angle. So our next move is to make the construction line that would go through this corner at 45 degrees. Get into that layer. X, L, enter, A, enter. And that's going to be a -45. Negative. Because it's going, in the back direction. So that's -45 degrees. There it is. And be sure you click on the intersection of the construction lines, not the fillet that we just made. Okay. We are also going to need the line that is perpendicular to that for the back side and for measuring purposes. So we need a line that is another 90 degrees from that. So what angle is that going to be? You can add 90 to -45, and that would be 45. So that'll do it. And I'm going to put it there at the point of intersection, and I'm just going to offset it for the rest of this. So we have a -45-degree line and a +45-degree line going through this front corner. And now I'm going to offset the +45-degree line, the distance that we are given, which is 1 3/8. So that is O, enter, 1.375. There it is. So that is the center of this thing. Right there. The next dimensions that we are given are the hole that goes through entirely through this object, and we are also given the width of this object as 1.5 inches, which is going to be, the radius of that is going to be the offset of this line to its final height. So we got 2 offsets to make of this line, right? So this is the center line, really. Just to be perfectly clear, this is the center of that hole, right? The big hole going through the whole thing. And then I'm going to offset it twice. Well, actually 3 times. The radius of this hole, and then the radius of the overall curvature. So the hole's diameter is 3/4. So its radius is 3/8 or 0.375, right? So here we go, a 375 offset on both sides. So that's the hole. That's the center of the hole, and those are its edges. And then we have the overall thickness of this thing, which we know is 1.5. So the radial value is 3/4 or 0.75. So I could just do another 375 and that'll get us there. So that line is truly the outside. I'll make that a construction line. These lines are actually going to be hidden lines because the hole is not visible in this view. Let's draw over that with object lines so you can see how this is going to work. That guy's going to go down like that, come up to here, and then come straight down to there. And then we can trim some of this off. Well, we could trim off the center line in a little bit. But I think I'm going to leave that there right now. Definitely going to trim the hidden lines. Let's do that. Trim those hidden lines away. I'm going to leave some of them. There we go. Why that's popping up. Get rid of this stuff here. I'll turn off the construction line so you can see exactly what's happening. So that is our object in the side view. Let me clean up our center lines here. I'm going to turn the construction line back on, do some offsets. Oh, enter 0.25. Get this guy off so I can trim those center lines for you. And that'll help out. Yeah. All right. Turn off those construction lines. That's probably looking a little better. So that is pretty much the side view of this object. We got to put a little fillet in here. Let's see if we can do this without blowing it up. No, it's going to totally blow it up. So I'll put in a sacrificial line there. There we go. Oh, the bottom, doggone it. I forgot about the bottom. Remember, the bottom's flat. So we are not showing a round on the bottom edge. I gotta undo that part. Put those fillets back to 0. Sorry, put these back to 0. I totally forgot. We are not doing the fillets on the bottom. We are showing that that is square. So there you go. That's easy to do. Now, there is one that is confusing, and that is this guy right here, the side view right in here. Let me zoom in on that a little bit more. So we got the little foot that sticks out. It's definitely rounded. This is absolutely correct for it. The question is, how does this machined face and this not machined face, how do they interact? Well, they are definitely going to have a sharp corner. So this intersection right here is not going to be rounded because it's a machined face. It's square to that. The question is it set back. And that's kind of complicated. That's a hard question to answer, and you can see on the drawing it's a little weird how it blends in. But I think for our purposes, we're going to leave it the way it is. The truth is, in reality, it might come down. They might take it down a little more. It might, when they do this, it might end up doing something like that, where the surface is dropped in a little lower, a little closer to that round. But technically, I believe we are representing the drawing that we have been given accurately with this the way it is. I know it looks a little weird, but I think that's right. This face is squared with its sides, machined square. So that is it for the front view. Pretty easy. I think we got time to do a little more. So let's look at the what do you think? The top view? That seems like the next most logical move. We'll move on to the top view here. And we'll just put one of these lines kind of randomly here. All right, and we'll start in this general area. So the distance between centers of those footings, you can see, is 2.5, and then you have the radius of the footing itself, which was 1/2 inch. So the overall width of this guy is 3.5 inches. So that'll be my first offset, 3.5 from side to side. There it is. Three and a half inches. And then coming in from the sides 1/2 inch to the center of the holes. So 1/2 inch on each side. And if you just want to do one side of this, that's fine, and you can just mirror it. Let's find the middle of this thing anyway. The middle is going to be 1.75, right? So there is the center of this whole object. I'll make that a center line right now. So that was 1.75 in from the edge. Okay, and now we can start offsetting the remaining thicknesses. The hole, remember, is 3/8. So the big hole going through this thing is, there you go. And I'll put those back to construction. And then the width on the back is 1.5. So that's going to be 3/4 on each side. So O, enter 0.75. So there it is. Those are 3/4 of an inch apart. We'll make those, you know, so actually I think I'm going to start tracing over that stuff since I have it differentiated here. I'm not going to leave it as center lines, but seeing as how it's different and it's popping out right now, I think I'm going to take advantage of that fact. So that's the width of this thing up until we get to this point here. So this is the basic shape of this guy. All right, now I'll put those back on construction duty. These footings are really big. They are. Okay, and then we got the slot. These line up with the hole. The slot is only 1/2 inch wide, so we need to offset this center line 1/4 of an inch. on each side, and that's for the slot, okay? So I'll put those back. In fact, I could trace over those right now if I wanted. So there's your slot right there. And then we'll put those back on construction. Okay, and then you can put the holes in, might as well. So the holes there is their center and there's their edge. Okay. I'm going to turn off my construction lines for just a moment and start cleaning this thing up. This portion would be trimmed out, of course, because this is the slot. And let's take care of these fillets. So this right in here is a 1/2-inch slot, which means the fillet radius on this is 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch. And these guys on the sides, it's a 1/2 of an inch. So 1/2-inch radius. And you could have done this by making arcs and then trimming them either way. Okay. And then we can put our little fillets in. Since we're doing filleting, we'll put our little 1/8-inch ones in here, might as well. Those are really big. I'm surprised. That's what it says. Fillets and rounds are an 1/8-inch radius. Okay. This line goes across though, so I don't want to lose that. I guess I'll just draw, rather than drag it out, I'll just extend it. Okay. And now for the fun stuff. How do we make this angled hole? All right. Turn our construction lines back on. And again, now it's time for the fun. We need to mark its edges. We need to mark its center. We do have so let me zoom in on this. So this line is close to its center, but it's not. I'm going to get rid of that so it's not confusing. And this one, I'm going to get rid, you know what, I'm going to get rid of all these because they're a little confusing and I don't really need them anymore. I don't want them interfering with what we're about to do. So just pull those off. I need construction lines showing me where the center is of this hole, where its edge and where its edges are. So these are all really important points. So I'm going to copy a vertical construction line and I'm going to place it at the edges of the holes, at the center of the hole, at the top, and where it intersects on the back side, which is over there. Okay, then I'm going to zoom out. And so I've got construction lines coming out of all these important points. The face intersection at the bottom, at the edges of the holes, at the center line, at the top, and then lastly at the back edge. Okay. I also need construction lines showing me the true size widths of these holes. And I believe I already put those in. So the hole going through the whole thing is from here to here. I can change the color so it stands out. I'll do that. So I'll make those different color. Let's say yellow or green. How about green? So that is, those are marking the width of this hole true size. In the top view here, though, I'm going to be drawing it foreshortened. So it's going to be squished. It's going to be squished in the x-axis. Let's do that one first. So I'm going to go to my ellipse. I'm going to find the center. So here is the center coming up. There it is right there. And then I'm going to go to the one edge, and then I'm going to go to the other edge. There it is. So those edges, I'll mark those as well. You can see there and there. I'll make those green or red. How about red so they stand out? So the red, you can see, is marking the widths on the x-axis, and the green is marking the widths along the y-axis. The green ones were created by offsetting the center line to true size, which was 3/8 of an inch. And the red ones were created by projecting up from the side view here, the intersection points with the true size hole, because this is also true size, along at its face. And that's how we can see that guy. And lastly, next we're gonna do from the center to the edge. And here's the edge right there. And then, whoops, I must have hit circle. So from the top edge to the side edge, right? And the side edge is simple. That was just the width of this object there from there. But the top corner came from right here. So that guy right there, this line right here, gave us our top edge, that corner. And we can then turn off our construction lines and trim this out very simply. Zoom in on it. Make sure I've got that correct. So this object and these are independent of each other. Do not confuse them. They happen to come right by each other. The fillets on these footings and the top of this hole's face, they are very close to each other, but they are not related. So don't accidentally join those. Okay, so that is definitely what we were after there. The truth is, if I zoom in on it real tight, you know, I'm just going to leave it that way. The last thing we got to do is put the ellipse on the back. Now this is going to be pretty interesting. I'm going to zoom out. And the ellipse on the back, which comes from where this cylinder, the outside of the cylinder, intersects the base here. We need to mark its center line. I'm going to turn the construction lines back on. Where its center, this cylinder's center, intersects this face is right here. So I need to put a construction line here. Right there. And I'm going to mark that one different color, let's say green. So you can see this green construction line is coming from where the center line of this big cylinder, not just the hole, but also the cylinder, intersects this flat face. And I also have a construction line marking its back edge. I'll make that one green as well. So there's its center and there's its back edge. So if I go up, I'll put these guys back to normal so they're not confusing us anymore. So there's its center. There's its outside edge in the y-axis, and there's its outside edge in the x-axis. So check this out. I'm going to go to my ellipse, and I'm going to say, here's the center, and it goes outside edge here, and it goes outside edge there. So the center line, this center line right here, came down from where the center of this cylinder met this face right here. There it is. Boom. And now I can trim that off. I'm going to go turn my construction lines off and get rid of this. Delete the rest of it. So that's how it intersects that back edge. All right. And now there's really just one more thing that we need to do aside from dimensions and center lines and stuff, and that is put the hidden line. And there is a hidden line on this object. It's where this hole goes through the back. So that's really easy to mark. It's right here. So where this hole intersects the back side is where the center line here and its edges penetrate on the back side. Whoa, that just is almost right on the money with this line, isn't it? Boy, they are just super close. This construction line right here is very close to this edge. It's not the same, but it's very close. Anyway, I'm going to copy this guy and move him to where the center line intersects the back edge. And I'm going to change him. I'm going to mark him also with a center line just so he really stands out. Okay. And zoom out a little bit. So this green center line is where this elliptical hole in this view comes out the back side. So watch this. I'm just going to copy it, C-O, enter, copy that elliptical hole, and I'm going to move it from its center point to this center point. And then I'm going to make it a hidden line because it's not visible. There you go. How about that? Put that back on construction. I'm going to put everything back on by layer, color, turn off my construction lines. Now you've got a pretty good look at what this thing looks like. We need to show that hole's edges, so I'm just going to go to my hidden lines here and just connect this hole from here to here. And there it is. Now you can see the hole going, truly penetrating through the object. And that's it.